Hello and welcome to my today's video, in which I am going to speak to you about a topic which is very fundamental for this blog actually, and it's K-pop as the model of personal development. And honestly, the idea of this video comes from many years ago, back in the days when I was still studying in the university, and I was interested in football. Someone gave me a book called Football as the Model of Business. And it was written by a group of English journalists, like sports journalists, who used the examples of the most successful football managers to try and find out the principles and strategies that are most useful for management generally, including the management in business. And ever since then, I was like, first of all, at that time, it was a very, interesting and new idea. The idea that the same principles which apply in sports, they are applicable also in business. But with the current of time, this idea was becoming more and more common, and including for me as well, because I have learned that strategies are actually universal, and the strategies meaning in a very deep, fundamental sense. When I started to get into K-pop, first of all, it was for me just the way to, just to enjoy music, to enjoy the show, to enjoy people, to enjoy the content, and so on, just like for all of us. But with the current of time, I started to notice the same things that I was noticing in any sports that I have ever been interested in. And that's the fact that there is something very special about people who succeed at something. There is something very special about the groups which succeed at something. And my mind is very prone to, trying to find this internal structure, secret geometry of chance, this underlying principle which lies under the physical expression of success and development and growth, as well as of crisis, death, and decay. And I was looking at K-pop from two different perspectives. As a fan who is, just watching something interesting, watching something that I enjoy, and as, I don't know how to call this part of me, as a researcher, someone who is looking for the principles of what makes people successful, of what makes teams successful, of what makes concepts and ideas successful as well. And honestly, this whole blog is like, you can look at it from the point of view of this. All of the things that I uncover in all of my videos are about these stories and narratives that lie underneath the life, but also about the qualities and features and about the archetypes that successful idols have, which we could obtain as well. And in this video, I would like to particularly concentrate on why K-pop particularly is a good model for self-development. And in my opinion, there are a few different things that make it so. First of all, there is huge competition in K-pop. So people who become idols, people who debut, and people who become successful idols, there is always something kind of special about them. And you can look at any person, and I do that actually. I look at every person that is a successful idol, and I always am able to find something very characteristic and very particular about them, something that makes them who they are, and therefore being expressed makes them successful. Because in the end, in my opinion, success is not about achieving something in the external world. It's actually about how much of yourself you can be. And the conditions of K-pop, the very high stressful environment, the very big competition that is there, it actually squeezes all of the best, squeezes all of the most real and the strongest out of people. So you can see, for example, I have a series which is called Persona, Let Your Bias Be Your Teacher. And in this series, I basically express and describe the things that I see in different idols and why these particular features or these particular archetypes were important for me. So, in my opinion, one of the things that make K-pop a very good catalog of features, of personalities for development is this particular thing. The fact that they are very expressed, and they are very expressed because they need to be expressed, because in the competition like this, you have to stand out, and you can only stand out through being as much of yourself as you can be. And actually, in my opinion, like, it works this way because, in my opinion, development is not really about becoming something. It's about finding the features inside of you and finding the pathways towards these features inside of you, the ones that will allow you to be yourself to the fullest, because we have a lot of different features in us. We have a lot of different archetypes. And seeing those features fulfilled by someone else, fulfilled and really like blossoming in someone else, it can help us uncover these features inside of us. And that's like the whole mechanism of how it happens. You can look at someone who has certain feature and you can either love them or hate them. And it will be the sign that you also have this feature inside of you, because you wouldn't be able to react. There wouldn't, like, your psychic wouldn't produce any reaction to something that you don't have inside of you. If you are reacting a certain way, either in a good or a bad way, it means that you have this same thing inside of you. And the fact that you can see it can help you recognize it in you and either use it or accept it or, I don't know, discover it or try and find your connection to it or whatever. But this is all development. Development is not about becoming something else. Development is not about doing something that you haven't done before. Development is about integrating everything that you are, whether you like it or you don't. Another thing, in my opinion, what makes K-pop idols good role models is the fact that they are usually debuting and they usually operate as teams. And when there is a team, when there is a group of people which has to be together, which is been put together by the company and has to be together for a very long time, at least for, like, I don't know, for most of the companies, I think for most of the groups, the first initial contract is 7 years. 7 years under huge pressure, living all together with the people that you didn't choose to be together with. It's a huge challenge, and they need to find the ways around it. They need to find the ways to resolve their conflicts. They need to find the ways to be together, to stick together, to go through difficulties together, to not look like they hate each other, and so on and so on. And this aspect also adds a lot to the development of the person, because not only you express yourself as what you are, but you also learn to do it in a way that is beneficial and not harmful for other people, and also to express, like, your needs and your boundaries and your wants and your like everything in connection with other people. And that is actually, like, it might be one of the most influential factors of what makes K-pop idols so successful, because the group work is always, like, for me personally, group work is extremely difficult, but at the same time it's also very rewarding, because there is this synergy always, like one member plus one member never bring in the impact as much as the sum of their impacts is always much more the synergy, which makes teamwork worth it. And also the teamwork that makes people develop in a kind of soft and more thoughtful way with a lot of feedback, which in my opinion also makes K-pop idols so useful, let's say, for development, for using them as models for development. But for now, I'm speaking about K-pop as something that you can use as an idea, not an ideal, use as an example, use as some like K-pop idols whom you can use as some guiding stars towards the archetypes or the features that you want to develop, that you feel like you need to develop. But there is also another side of it. And another side of it is that there are a lot of idols for all of us, I believe. Like, if you tell me that there is not a single idol that irritates you, I will not believe you. And for all of us, there are idols that irritate us. And this irritation is actually even bigger sign where you can develop. Because irritation or like anger at certain person that you don't even know shows that there is something in them, either certain behavior, some certain feature, certain energy that you have inside of you too, but you don't accept it in yourself. And actually finding it and accepting it is one of the biggest like jumps in the development that you can do. Because when you hate something about another person, when you are irritated by something in another person, it means that this thing is in you, but it's in the shadow. And all the things that are in the shadow, they have a lot of power. So whenever you accept certain features that you have in the shadow, you gain your power back, which makes you much more impactful, which makes you much more fulfilled, and which gives you a lot more opportunities to express yourself. I will give you an example. And actually a few examples, because this is like, I feel like this is the thing that needs to be explained better, because it's slightly counterintuitive on the one hand. On the other hand, it's really hard to accept, because like, what the fuck do you mean? The things that I'm irritated by are actually the things that I have in myself. I'm irritated by them. It means that I don't like them. Well, that's the whole point, actually. I'm a BTS ARMY. And recently I made a video about Taehyun where I speak about his like features that I love so much about him. And I love Taehyun so much. Taehyun is one of the most harmonious, or probably idols that I have ever seen. He is very... I love Taehyun. But Taehyun, Kim Taehyun of BTS, used to irritate me. And I can't word correctly what was the particular feature. It was something connected with the fact that he either forgot someone's birthday, or there was someone's album that he didn't, post in the stories. And I was like, that's your friend. How come you don't... Oh, I think it was Jimin's album. I think it was Jimin's album that everybody promoted in the stories and he didn't. Like, usual shit like that, And I was like, oh, this Taehyun, he is so, selfish. And then I looked at this thought and I was like, what the fuck? Why am I thinking so? And I kind of realized that I forget about people too. I actually forget about people a lot, because, I think you can guess from my blog, if you have seen other videos, if you have seen the general tendency in my blog, that I think a lot. There is a lot going on in my head and in my system, and I also meditate a lot. I also practice a lot. So there is a very rich internal life that I live, honestly. And I really like my personal space. I really protect my personal space, and there is a lot going on in my personal space. So because like my internal life is so diverse and rich, sometimes I can actually forget about real people. There are a few like very close people whom I never forget about, but I can forget to text my best friend for a couple of days because I just, I'm in some creative something. Or I don't know, I might disappear for a week because I'm integrating some shit from my practices or something like this. And I realized that this feature that I saw in Taehyun was actually my feature that I wasn't aware of. And when I realized that it's, the other side of my own, like the richness of my personal experience, Because all of our features, a lot of our good features, they always have the other side of them. And I know that I am very, interesting for people around me. I know that I'm interesting to talk to. I'm interested. They can come to me and I can easily explain to them something that they cannot, understand about themselves or about a certain situation. I am a healer actually, and I can heal people. So I know that I am valuable for people around me. And the fact that I need a lot of time on my own is actually another side of the thing that makes me interesting, a thing that makes me useful, and that's this rich internal life. So when I realized that this in Tehyun is the expression of this same thing, and when I managed to accept it in me, Tehyun became one of my favorite people in K-pop. And it always happens like this. Like, I was irritated by Lisa, and with Lisa it's really fascinating to me, because I was irritated. I have a video about Lisa and about how I was irritated by her and about how I resolved it. And with Lisa, it's actually incredible, because my cousin, who is not a K-pop stan, she watched my video about Lisa, and she was like, you know what? I actually came across a video and reels about her, and I was irritated by her too, for entirely different reason than the one that I was irritated by. And she said, I watched your video and I understood why I was irritated by her and what feature inside of me it showed to me. And I feel like Lisa is she's like a huge mirror for the whole K-pop industry, and everybody can find something to be irritated by, and that is what actually makes her a wonderful, I don't want to say tool, a wonderful person to reflect from, to find something inside of you that you weren't aware that you have. Probably the most challenging person in K-pop for me, for now, was Jennie. And with Jennie, as I have already mentioned, I'm always looking for strength in people, in successful people, to try and understand what makes them successful. And I often come across, it's either certain discipline and strength and an ability to be very solid in the body and to express something, like Lisa, for example. Lisa might be one of the most hard-working people, and she does everything. She's probably a fucking perfectionism, so she does everything very professionally and very wonderfully, and that's something that makes her successful. Like, lately I've been looking a lot at Chunwon of ENHYPEN, who has a lot of control over his energy and over his body. I've been looking at BTS members for a very long time, who bring in something very meaningful in their lyrics, in their work, who suffer through shit to be able to express something very meaningful. I've been looking at a lot of different idols and seeing what makes them successful. But with Jennie, it's none of this. I don't want to say that Jennie is talentless. She's not. I don't want to say that, a lot of people say that Jennie is lazy. I don't think she's lazy, but she's weaker in the body than some other idols. She has to leave the stage time up to time to take a break. And actually, I believe that if I was an idol, I would need to take breaks too, because my body is very, sensitive, and it gets tired very easily. So I believe I will be just like Jennie. But at the same time, Jennie has a wonderful production team. Jennie has people who write songs for her. In my opinion, my feeling is that Jennie doesn't really perform very well, because she doesn't really express what she sings about. Again, it's my opinion, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. With Jennie challenges all of my beliefs about success, because she's none of the things that I thought make people successful. And Jennie actually shows me the thing that I never wanted to admit. And that's the fact that success and the universe, the world, meets us not on the level of our strength, not on the level of our, I don't know, capabilities, not on the level of our artisticity, not on the level of our discipline, but on the level of our audacity and our confidence. And that's it. And that's why Jenny is so challenging for me. And again, it's just a projection. I want you to understand that what I'm saying about Jenny, it's my projection. I'm not saying that she is lazy or she is, I don't know, not disciplined or she is not talented or anything like this. She probably is. When I look at her and I compare her to other idols that I look at, I don't see all of these things. And for me, Jenny is the lesson about that. About that you can actually have no things that we usually consider to be the preconditions for success, but still believe in yourself and still have confidence in yourself and still do something. And you can become successful. And you can have a lot and you can express yourself and you can be fulfilled. And that's a huge stretch for me, actually. But except for that, except for the fact that K-pop is actually a huge catalog of different qualities and features that we might want to develop, except the fact that K-pop is a huge mirror in which we can see our flaws and see the things that we don't see about ourselves in a daily life. There is something, rising from that island, from Korea, from South Korea. I don't really know how to explain this, but I've been feeling lately that a lot of groups, a few groups out of those that I follow, they start to kind of move in the same direction. I don't know how to say. They start to express more or less the same things, which are connected with freedom, soul, like expression, fulfillment, all of the things that are so important for me. Like the latest comeback of Stray Kids, like the latest comeback of ATEEZ, like a lot of previous songs and things in BTS. Also, this new group Gorgeous, they are also about this same thing. It's as if there is something rising from South Korea on an energetic level. It's as if something is growing there, which is impacting, like influencing people all around the world in the same direction, in the same way, which is very important for me. Meaning aiming to return people to their true nature, to their, true north, to their internal compass, to their soul, to what would actually make them happy and change the world for the better. It's interesting that it's somewhat similar, like this rising of the energy is somewhat similar to what I am seeing here in Ukraine. And I have a feeling that difficult conditions, whether it's war, like South Korea is also in the state of war still with North Korea, like the conditions which are somewhat uncomfortable, the conditions which are very competitive, the conditions which are also kind of dangerous, it feels like they create this background to squeeze out something that needs to be delivered to the world. And right now, what needs to be delivered to the world and what needs to be perceived by people, what needs to be seen, what needs to be accepted, is this. the fact that we all need to return to our true nature and to our power, and to liberate ourselves from doubts and illusions. And that's one of the reasons why K-pop, in my opinion, is such a good reference for development. Because it's not just about music, it's not just about features, it's not just about entertainment, it's not just about success. It's also about the very nature of who we are and how to become it. And I'm actually very happy about it. It's as if I see the parts of what is important for me, what is important very deep inside of me, in a lot of new songs, in a lot of new groups, in a lot of new comebacks. And I really believe in that impact of K-pop. And I really hope that more and more people will be able to obtain this ability to be themselves and express themselves and who they are as who they are. And I feel like that's the video. Yeah, no thoughts. That's the video. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.